What is good, everyone? Today is March 2nd, the first trading day of March. I hope that you all are having an amazing day and that you all either stayed patient today or somehow took a W trade, which is exactly what we did today. So, overall, right, market, we got war news, we got a bunch of volatility coming into the market. But going over my bias for the day, I took one trade today. I'll go over my thoughts and my reasoning for that. So coming in the day, starting on the 4 hour, what was I looking at? Well, I see that we swept out these intermediate lows right here, and then I believe that there was an SMT at this low, so this could lead to some sort of rebalance for a, um, right, we've been distributing, we have a lot of unfilled gaps up here, so I was leaning slightly bullish. I could see that possibility, but I could also see the possibility of us just continuing to trade all the way towards this very external low down here. Now, zooming in to the 15-minute, right? We are bouncing between two high time frame P arrays. We have this 15-minute here and this 15-minute here, just kind of accumulating between them. And on top of that, I believe also an hourly and an hourly, right? So we have this one and this one here. So at this point, you just want to see which one gets respected versus disrespected, because we are now delivering from sell side. And now all you need to see is if this gets respected, then I'll be bullish. And if this gets disrespected, I'll be bullish. But if this fails to distribute, then I will just be bearish to these new external lows down here. So what happened at market open? Well, market open, and you cannot capitalize off of any of this because there's just no setup. We just pump immediately, right? And then we start to head towards this new week opening gap up here, right? So we have this new week opening gap completely unfilled. This is a very strong draw on liquidity because there is no data sitting inside of here, right? This needs to be rebalanced because it is an imbalance, and that's how the market moves. So what do we do? We just continue to pump up, and then we edge new week opening gap with an SMT, and we got a 3-minute inversion. But now this is a terrible trade to take, right? Obviously, we have this unfilled 5-minute being these marked out relative equal lows. This is also an unfilled 5-minute gap. You can see right here, we've just been trading up and up and up with no rebalance and no retrace. So anybody that took this 3-minute short, right? This still isn't a great trade because we just edged this draw on liquidity, and with how strong of a draw on liquidity this is, it's more often than not just going to fail. Now you could have gone break even here, depending on how your rules are, but just a trade that I would never take in my life anymore. But then what do we start to do? Well, we start to slow down, right? There was also a 15-minute gap that opened up right here that we trade into, and there's a 30-second, very small one here. I just didn't like it because ES never traded into this 15-minute gap, so I was not expecting this much of a distribution, and it would have been a break-even trade anyway, going break-even at the new week opening gap. So moving on, we start to slow down in price. Notice how we are no longer distributing up. We are kind of starting to accumulate, and it's not just straight sideways accumulation like this right here. This is sideways accumulation. This is accumulating, but it's towards an objective, right? Being this new week unfilled, new week opening gap. And then once we fill it, what happens? Well, 10:15 now opens up. We have 10 a.m. that opened up right here. So 10 a.m. does what? Does it manipulate these lows? Sort of, but what does the distribution lead to? Almost a weak distribution into a new key level, right? And we still put in these relative equal lows with this unfilled 5-minute gap, and we've never retraced into equilibrium. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that now. So equilibrium is way down here. We also have relative equal lows on multiple time frames, right? I think it goes to the 5-minute. That's very obvious. And we start to get this accumulation here. We are above 10 a.m.'s opening price, and now all we're expecting is 10:15 to manipulate these highs right inside of our key level, because now if you go back to the 15-minute or hourly, what is our now external draw on liquidity? It's been taken, right? So what are we targeting next? We would then have to target this high resistance draw on liquidity right here before expecting some sort of rebalance, right? This just isn't going to be high probability. We've already fought through all of this low resistance and these gaps, right? So we've filled so many orders. We have so much open liquidity down here and not very much open liquidity left up here. So at this moment, I'm expecting the market to rebalance to at least our first 5-minute or 15-minute before then deciding if we are going to go higher from that gap or if we're going to trade straight through it and decide to flip the entire range. So what am I looking at right now? This is our framework going into this. We have this accumulation down here. We then get 10 a.m. open, and what does it do? Well, it trades and it almost adds to this liquidity pool down here. And then we start to trade higher, but then we start to accumulate even more. And now we get 10:15 opening up. So what do I want 10:15 to do? I want 10:15 to somehow manipulate this high, right? That way we can put in our top wick and then get our inversion to then target the rest of this lower resistance liquidity and our imbalances down here. So what happens? Exactly that, right? We get our SMT that gets put in at this high, and this counts for a manipulation, right? This is still, all of this is happening inside of our key level, so this SMT is valid to take. It's not like ES or NQ aren't inside of a key level. So going on from there, we get a 30-second inversion immediately. You can see right here, this inversion with a very healthy displacing candle, literally all body. What are the wicks doing versus the bodies, right? The wicks are wicking at this high, and the bodies are closing down below here. This is a very healthy inversion. And look at this, we have so much low resistance leading up to our 5-minute gap, I believe, at this low. And now I did get break even on this. You can see right here, I sold and then got bought up for my break even. I thought that we took this low, which we ended up not actually taking. Otherwise, this would have been a very nice trade. So going back to the chart, I honestly could have just held it for no break even whatsoever, because what is stopping price here before hitting this 5-minute gap? Maybe a 30-second gap, right? This 1 30-second fair value gap that's already been fully mitigated and inversed on that next candle, right? There's nothing else down here to stop price from going lower. So this should play out, and then you can see we then get our displacement after I got brutally break even rated, but we then rebalance our 5-minute gap, and that's all that you need, right? You just need to know where the next draw on liquidity is. Even if high time frame we're going up here, our next draw on liquidity has to be this 5-minute gap before then going to that, right? This is how we're going to get to that next draw on liquidity. And so we, in this, right, we stack the PO3s, we get our inversion with a overextended range. This is when you want to be trading your MEC model, right? Obviously, if you know PB, you have the MEC, PDI, and then your just continuations. So continuations, this would have been a fantastic one if we swept this low and then distributed. I would have been all over that. But this MEC model right here, this is just going to fail way more times than it works, just because you're not at the full external range of that buy or sell model. Versus up here, we have taken every source of external liquidity, so now it has to go back to IRL. That's really the main thing that I want to get across today. This is just a quick little trade recap. But yeah, I hope that you guys all had an amazing trading day and you have a great rest of your week. If you want to use a discount code with Alpha, I have mine in the description. I'm still hosting the giveaway, if you want to call it that. Just the first 10 people will be entered into a wheel for a free 50K account. And then like, comment, sub, all the things. I appreciate you so much. We're so close to 200, right? Not even 100 anymore. Almost at 200 subs, which is insane to me. I appreciate you guys so much. And yeah, any questions, I'll answer those if you put them in the comments, or if you join the Discord, DM me there. Instagram will be below, all that good stuff. And then I hope that you guys have a great rest of your week. I'll see you later.